Hello, my name is Rusty Myers.
Hi, I'm Jeff Bonner.
Hi everyone, my name is Stephanie Bowie.
Hello, I'm Julie Michon. The first process in scope management is planning. The intended outcome of this process is a project plan and charter. The plan and charter serve as the framework for the other 5 processes in scope management. A scope management plan doesn't have to be very formal or extremely detailed, but rather is a step in the planning procedures to help your project team define, validate, and control your project scope. This allows you to have a written blueprint that your project team can refer to throughout the project's duration, as well as serving as a starting point for the project. A good scope management plan can be contributed to executing an effective planning process. To meet the definition of good, a scope management plan should include 5 aspects. These aspects are a detailed scope statement, the creation of the work breakdown structure, plans to maintain and approve the work breakdown structure, a plan for formal acceptance of the project's deliverables, and how changes to the scope should be handled. In order to effectively execute the planning process, the project team must utilize 2 tools and techniques: expert judgments and meetings. Expert judgments are individuals who are assets to the project's organization and provide the appropriate input for the estimation and development of activities within the plan. Meetings are the assembly of the experts and project team to accomplish the necessary tasks to complete the planning process. By assembling your team, bringing in experts, and conducting the appropriate meetings, a project team can effectively execute the planning process in order to create a useful scope management plan and charter.
The second process in scope management is collecting requirements. It is very important to recognize and gather input from all of the project stakeholders early in the project. Refer to the project and scope requirement documents to ensure you are including all of the stakeholders while gathering requirements. Stakeholder requirements should be documented in a standardized format to ensure referencing them will be accurate and efficient during project development. A project requirements document is essential for capturing the intended outcomes. A few helpful methods for gathering requirements are interviews, questionnaires, and focus groups. Failure to develop good requirements often requires major rework in later stages, which can incur significant additional costs. Requirements documents come in many forms and can include a requirements traceability matrix. The matrix will provide the project team with a clear picture of the project's focus and goals. In addition, the requirements traceability matrix can be developed to verify requirements are completed successfully. Prototypes are a great way to get stakeholders' input on the project. They will know very quickly if it's missing a key feature they need.
The third process in scope management is defining the scope. A proper scope definition will provide the project scope statement and project document updates. The project scope statement is used to provide a detailed definition of the work required to complete a project. Creating a scope statement is one of the more difficult tasks related to project management, but properly defining the scope is essential to running a project smoothly and with minimal delays. A useful scope statement will include a project scope description, user acceptance criteria, and detailed information on all of the deliverables associated with the project. Although not preferred, the scope statement will need to be updated throughout the project with up-to-date information on vendors, costs, and other plan info. The scope statement should reference any outside documents which contain key product details or company policies that are essential to the project's success. The fourth process in project scope management is creating the work breakdown structure, or WBS. The work breakdown structure is created to provide a deliverable-oriented breakdown of the work included in the project. The WBS takes the work required for the project and breaks it down into smaller, more manageable sections. The process of breaking down the work into smaller deliverables is called decomposition. Upon completion of the WBS process, we will have the main output, which is called the scope baseline. The scope baseline includes the approved scope statement and the work breakdown structure and dictionary. The WBS can be created using several different methods based on the size and needs of the project. These can be chart form, tabular form, or other forms based on Gantt charts created with various software programs, including Microsoft Project. It is very important to include the entire project team in the creation of the WBS. Having meetings and discussions will allow everyone involved to understand what needs to be done and how it can be accomplished.
The fifth process is how to validate scope. Scope validation involves formal acceptance of the completed project deliverables. A project team must develop clear documentation of the project's products and procedures for the customer to evaluate. Acceptance is achieved through customer inspection and a sign-off on key deliverables. If the customer isn't satisfied, a change request will result from this inspection. Identifying and documenting the functional and physical characteristics of the project's products, recording and reporting changes, and auditing products to verify that they meet requirements will help minimize scope changes during the lifespan of the project. Scope creep is the tendency for a project scope to grow impractically large. Although a project scope may be fairly well defined, verifying the project scope with users throughout the life of the project and developing a process for controlling scope changes will help keep scope creep at bay. The final process of scope management is how to control scope. Controlling the scope involves managing changes while keeping goals and business strategy in mind. The goal is to influence factors that cause scope changes, ensure changes are processed according to procedures developed as part of change control, and manage changes when they occur. Lack of user input leads to problems with managing scope creep and controlling change. The following can help improve user input. Develop a good project selection process. Include users in the project team. Have regular meetings with defined agendas. Deliver something to the project users and sponsors regularly. Don't promise to deliver what's impossible in a particular time frame. And locate users with developers. Change is expected. However, changes to the requirement during the later stages of the project are difficult to implement. The following can improve the requirements process. Develop and follow requirements management process that includes procedures for determining initial requirements, employ prototyping, use case modeling, joint application design to understand user requirements, put all requirements in writing and keep them current and available, create a requirements management database for documenting and controlling requirements, test to verify the products performed as expected, use a process for reviewing requirement changes, emphasize completion dates, and allocate resources for specifically handling change requests. Variance analysis is an important tool for controlling scope. Variance is the difference between what organizations planned and actual performance. For instance, if you ordered 10 boxes of donuts but only received 8, your variance is 2 boxes of donuts.